Hey there, welcome back. This is part 6 of my WebdriverIO tutorial series. If you'd like to check out my previous videos in this series, make sure to click on the link below in the description. So in our previous video, we completed our setup for Chai and Babel and got our first Chai assertion working. In this video, we will write some more Chai assertions and get a good understanding on how to use them. Now let's get started. So our tests are working. Now let's add more assertions to our test. So before we do that, what I'm going to do is copy this file and then create a copy of it and then just rename this to chai.js. Now we'll revert the changes that I made on watches.js later on. This way we would know that we have a specific chai.js test file. And instead of running all the files together, what we would do is just run this file. So that's really easy to do. We'll go to our configuration file and I'm going to scroll all the way up. And here, if you see on specs, currently what it's doing is in the test specs directory, it's running everything with the JS extension. So we're just going to change this to say chai.js. So it's just going to run this particular file. So I'll close this. Okay, now let's scroll down here. And what we did was we created an assertion, which is chai expect, and we were verifying that our URL has this fashion string instead of checking for this entire thing. So I'll just delete this from here. We could have kept it there too, it would have worked. But just to make it clear that we're using chai assertions, I'm just going to be deleting our old expect assertions. Now let's add some more assertions. So what can we do? So in our second test, what we did was we were showing the banner title. Now let's say we have a use case where we don't even want to add this particular string there, that the text is so dynamic, it changes all the time. So all we want to verify is that the text is not empty. We can do that very easily with chai. So let's head over to the chai documentation. Okay, so I'm under the expect and should. So you can access this by just clicking on the API and then just click on expect should. So over here, what we can use is something called empty. So let's try to search for that. Empty. Okay, there you go, this one. Let's click on that. So this verifies that a particular string or whatever that you're trying to verify is empty or not. We can use this expect something to be empty. Or if you want to verify something is not empty, we can do expect something to not be empty. And that's going to be our case this time. So let's head over to the VS Code and paste this. Okay, so the first thing, we are not using expect, we are using chai expect. So I'm going to replace this. And here we will just add our info title. And we don't want it to be empty. What we want is the opposite. So we're going to say to not be empty. Alright, so one thing to keep in mind here, when we will run this won't work. Well, technically your test will pass, but it's not really going to be verifying the text. Instead, what it will do is verify whether the selector is available or no. Because what we did here, info title, this is a selector, not the text. So to get the text, what we will do is create a variable, call it info title text. And then use our info title, and we can use something called get text. It's the same way we use get URL, we can use get text. And then I'm just gonna copy this, replace this here. So this is what we're doing. We're saying our chai expect and then pass in our info title text and for it to be not be empty. Let's run this and see if it works. So if you notice, it only ran our chai.js test instead of running the whole thing, which is really good for us and saves our time. I'm going to open this up and perfect. All 4 of our tests are passing. Now, one thing we should probably do here is try to see if we pass dot to be empty, if that will work or not. So in theory, this should fail. Let's make sure it does. And when it fails, we also want to see what kind of error message we will get when it fails. And by the way, the reason I'm doing that is because you want to make sure that when your test fails, you know what kind of error it's throwing. Because when you will be running this test in your CI/CD pipeline, all you will see that the test failed and it would show you the error message. So you need to know how to read those error messages and kind of figure out why the particular test failed, and then go ahead and debug your test too and try to fix that test. Hope that makes sense. Okay. So there you go. So this is what it's saying. So it's saying expected, and this is as text, which is extra 20% off on selected watches, to be empty. So what it's saying is we're expecting this text to be empty, but it's actually not empty because we're getting this entire thing. So to fix that, obviously we can just replace this back to not be empty, and then it will work. I think this is a good way to know what kind of error messages we get. So this is another way for us to create our chai assertions. Let's take a look at another example. What we can also do is verify that our banner button contains an anchor tag, which is the A tag. If I head over back to our Chrome and over here on our banner, if you remember, this is an anchor tag. So it starts with A and then our entire text string, whatever it's passing here. So let's say if you want to have a use case where you want to verify that this is an anchor tag, or if you might want to have something called which is a div, there's a way in Chai that we can do that too, really easily. So what we will do is, first we need to get the tag name here. If you guys are not familiar, by the way, A here, anchor tag, this is a tag, div is also a tag, h2 tag, same thing. So in order for us to get the tag name, we can use in WebdriverIO something called get tag name. So if you notice here, they have this element, which is div id element, and when they run element.getTagName, the output, it returns a div. The same way when we will run it for our anchor tag button, it will return A. So our scenario would be to ensure that our tag should be equal to A. So in our chai assertion, there is something called equal, which we can use. All it does is verify a particular string that you pass, and it should be equal to whatever the string you're trying to verify. So let's use this. So I'll head back over to our VS Code. So first thing, we need to get the tag name. So we can do that. I'll name it tag shop button dot get tag name. And then here we can add our chai expect, call it tag dot equal, or actually to equal, and then replace it with A. Let's run this and see if it works. Alright, so our test ran, and as you can see, this one passed too. Awesome. So this is how you can use chai expect. Now, if you remember, I told you there are two other types of chai assertions. So there's something called expect, which we just looked at, and they also had, which was should and assert. So let's take a look at how we can use these two. So to use should, we cannot just add should here. This won't work because should is a method. To use that, we will have to do import and then do chai register, and as you can see, should. So this is how we can use our should test. The should is, I would say, a bit easier to use. So let's say if you want to change the test we just looked at, this one, to a should test, we can do this by tag dot should equal, and then we'll give a string. That's it. That's all we need to do. Actually, I just realized it should be equal. That's what we need to do. And let's run this, see if it works. Awesome. I think our test passed. Yep, it passed. Quickly, let's try to fail this test. Instead of passing A, let's pass B. Run it again. Okay, as expected, it failed. Let's say we expected A to equal B, which wasn't true in our case because it received A. So that's how easy it is to just use should. So we can even, for example, change this to should. The way this would work is info title should not be empty. That's it. And if I run this, there you go. So even this passed. Awesome. So that's how easy it is to use chai or expect or should. So it's just a way which syntax you preferred and which one is easier to read. Some prefer to use it expect, some prefer to use it should, or you might see in some places where they're using both. So there's obviously a last one, which is assert. So to use assert, I can just add it here, assert. And let's see if you want to continue with this test, and if you want to use this for assert is a little bit different they do not follow the same syntax here, but it's almost same. So I can do assert dot is not empty, and then I can pass in the info title text. So let's try to run this. By the way, this is all in the documentation, so I'm not making this up. Obviously, you can go ahead, read the documentation, and you will find all the different scenarios for assert or try, expect or should. So, yep, this pass to, and if we just convert this to, let's say, is empty, we'll get similar error that we got for the other one. And as expected, it failed. So it's saying this text to be empty. So the error is exactly the same. So there's nothing different here. It's just the way you write the test or your assertion is different. So it's kind of up to you which one you prefer. So if you think using expect is easier as you're already using that, you can go ahead and use that. If you think should is better to read, or maybe you prefer assert, so you can use that too. So at the end, it's up to you which assertion style you prefer. But I think you get the idea now. So I would urge you guys to try this on your own and see where you can use try.js for your assertions. So let me know in the comments below if you can think of some more use cases. Also, I didn't mention this in the previous videos, but this code will be available on GitHub. So if you guys want to take a look, link will be in the description below. Okay, so in the next video, we will learn about how we can scale our test by using page object model. So that's where the main fun will begin. So we will understand what page object model is, how to use it, and a little bit more about how it works. Alright, so if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give me a thumbs up, as that's how I know you guys are enjoying my content. Also make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and hit the bell icon to get notified of my newly uploaded content. That's it for this video, folks. I will see you in the next one.